It's major championship season. I'm going to show you how to make those 4 and 5 foot putts, teach you how to read greens better, and show you how to deal with uphill lies. Let's do this. Reading greens is such a challenging thing to do, but it ends today. I'm going to show you how to be great at it. It's time for a transformational tip presented by Morgan Franklin. All right, so here's the deal. One of the biggest challenges that you have when you're trying to read greens is you're trying to read with your eyes and you're not understanding what's going on with your knees, your shins, and your feet. So I want to show you how to do this. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have Greg alter our Zen green stage here, and he's going to make it so that I'm feeling like I'm going uphill and downhill. So right now, he's dropping the area behind me low, and he's lifting up the area in front of me. That's going up in the air. Now, as we look into this camera over here on camera 2 or camera 4, what you can see is that as I'm trying to offset that balance or gain my balance, what's happening is I'm leaning into the hill. And as I lean into the hill, what's happening is the angle, you can see this ball now moving. You can see that what's happening is my shin, between the top of my shin and the top of my foot, that area has gotten narrower. So we call it the L. The L has gotten narrower. And now as we start to go in the opposite direction, which is what's happening, now I feel like I'm getting chucked down this way. And so my natural inclination is to shift my weight back into my heels. So where before I had the weight going to the balls of my feet or my toes, now I'm shifting up into my heels. And what's happening is, because my foot is on the ground, I'm still trying to get my shin in a position that allows me to keep my balance. And now the L has widened, or that space between my shin and the top of my foot has opened up. And that opening up is telling me that I'm going downhill. So when I start feeling where I have a narrow L, I'm going uphill, and when I have a wide L, I'm going downhill. Now, let's deal with side hills. So as we start to get into the side hill, and what you can see is I've got tape on my knees here. What's going to happen here is that as Greg starts to do whatever he's going to do, lift one side or the other, I'm going to start to lean up the hill again. And so what I'm going to do is, and he's tipping now the left side, I'm starting to lean up the hill. And what you can see is that a couple of things. One, although my belt is really level to the level ground, my knees are anything but. Because as I lean up the hill, I'm going to break the knee or bend the knee on the uphill side, and this is going to be higher and closer to camera 2 than my downhill knee. And what you can see in camera 1 is I've almost made my downhill leg or knee clearly disappear. Now, when we start to shift in the other direction, what you're going to see is this knee flex on my downhill leg is going to start to lessen, and it's going to straighten out. And the knee flex on my uphill leg is going to shift. And now in this camera 1, what I'm going to start to see is I'm going to see the forward part of the uphill knee. You're always going to see more of the uphill knee. And the reason why is that you're leaning into that hill. So what does that mean? What that means is this. If I start to walk across a slope that's going from my left to right, I'm going to have a short lead leg and a long trail leg, or what I would say, a short uphill leg and a long downhill leg. And I'm going to wobble when I walk. So when I start to walk, I'm going to start to do this. And as we start to wobble, that's telling us that we're on an uneven plane. So as you start to get to where you're reading greens properly and effectively, what you want to understand is read with your feet, read with your legs. Don't use your eyes automatically. Train your body to feel the movement in the property. What's going on with the L? What's going on with the shin to the top of the foot? How's that working? What's happening with your knees? Are you wobbling? And as you start to get better and better and better at this, you'll start to be able to identify when you have a breaking putt, which way it's going to break. And it takes a little bit of time, it takes a little bit of practice. But as you develop the skill, you'll start to read greens better. And more importantly, you're going to start to make more putts. And that's our transformational tip presented by Morgan Franklin. Time for a grip tip presented by Golf Pride. So listen, we all know when we go play golf, we play that 18th hole. It's such an important hole for us. It's also a time where we're a little bit fatigued, and it's also a time where most of the 18th holes are going uphill. If you think about your 18th hole at your golf course, you're probably playing to an uphill shot. And the reason why is clubhouses are typically built on the highest piece of the property. And so 9 and 18 typically come back to the clubhouse. So how do we hit that uphill shot when we're a bit fatigued? Well, there's a couple of things that we got to pay attention to. And I want you to think about this as we start to go. First, we got to deal with hips and shoulders. I'm going to show you why that's so important and the effect, if you don't, what can occur. Second, ball position. This is essential. We have to understand, we have to alter ball position in order for us to hit shots the way we want. And then third, aim. Now, aim is going to be an option depending upon if we want to fight the slope or not, and we're going to get into that. But first, let's just talk about this uphill lie. And what I want to do, if we could, Greg, is let's create a dramatic uphill lie. We're going to lift the front of that mat there, and what you can see, courtesy of our friends at Zen Green Stage, is now I'm starting to fall down this slope. And you can see how much that is lifted up now. Now, I've got my uphill lie, and this is what we're dealing with, and we're tired. And what happens when you get tired is you get a little bit lazy and you don't really think as well as you could or should. So I want to remind you of the things that you need to go through, because you're going to encounter this at least on that 9th hole if you're coming back to the clubhouse, and I know you're going to get it on 18. So we've all been told, well, we got to get our shoulders parallel to the slope. Well, honestly, the shoulders don't start parallel to the slope, but we got to get them in the same position relative to the slope. In other words, when I set up, I might have a 2-degree tilt to my shoulder line. I want to make sure that my shoulders are still in that 2-degree tilt relative to the ground. So here, I'm going to have to alter my shoulders in this fashion like this. I'm going to have to make some other alterations as well to what I do with my hips. But first, what I want to do is I want to show you, if we don't do that and we just stand here and we hit this shot, what's going to tend to happen. So I take a standard ball position. I don't do anything at all with my shoulder line or anything like that, and I hit this shot. What I do is I end up pulling the ball dramatically, and also it spins to the left or hooks. Let's play that shot again, Greg, so we can see what happens. You can see how that starts left and then continues to go left. Now, we've got to change that. So, hips and shoulders. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to take your shoulders and set them in that same 2-degree tilt. It's going to feel like they're parallel to the slope, and it's easiest to say that, but they're not parallel, but you feel like that, so you're going to tilt that to the slope. The other thing I want you to do is I want you to get those hips to tilt also. And what that means is that you're going to feel almost like your trail leg, your downhill leg is bracing into the hill. So we go like this, set the shoulders like that, but I'm bracing into the hill with the downhill leg. Watch what happens to this one. So now I'm going to hit this shot. This is going to be a much more solid strike. In fact, it's going to go a little bit farther than I hit the other one. But it's still going to start a little left, and it's still going to hook a little left. Let's play that one. And what you can see is that one started a little closer to the flag, still had the same hook, and still ends up to the left. Not as much, but a lot farther. So now what we have to do is we've got to make a few more alterations to this. And the first place we go to is ball position. Now, when you take your shoulders and you go like this, and if you've watched other programs that I've put out, what you'll understand is that ball position is an upper body thing, not a lower body thing. And when I take my shoulders and I go like this, I have in effect moved the ball more forward. So when we are faced with this uphill lie, I need to move the ball back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt, and then I'm going to climb up the hill so that I end up getting the ball in the same position as I would have it in a level lie. So with my 6-iron, now I'm going to be here. Again, same thing, hips and shoulders, but now ball position is a little farther back, and now we go. And now what we get is we get a shot that's going to start out somewhat close to that flag line. This is going to be a great one, Greg. Let's play this one again. It's going to start out somewhat close to that flag line, and then it's going to twist to the left. Look at that coming right down on the flag. That's excellent. And so that shot was exactly what I wanted to try to do. Now what we got to do is we've got to make the final alteration, and this is where this gets optional, okay? The first option is aim. I'm a big fan of not fighting the slopes. I'm a big fan of working with slopes, but there are times you got to fight them. So let's deal with the we're not going to fight it situation. Now this is aim. So when I aim, what I'm going to do is I'm going to aim, depending upon the club, I'm going to aim 10, 15, 20 feet to the right of the flag, maybe more depending on where the hole is located. But I'm going to do the same stuff. I'm going to get that brace, I'm going to move that ball position, I'm going to get the shoulder line where I want it to be, and now I'm starting this shot, I don't know, maybe 15 or 20 feet to the right of the flag. Now, what you can see is that one started to the right of the flag, and it twisted a little bit to the left. Let's play that shot, Greg. And what you can see here is that I started well right of the flag. It had a little bit of a twist to the left, not a lot, and it kind of comes down, and you can see I didn't get to the left of the flag. So now the last couple of shots I've hit are on the green. Now finally what I want to show you is if you're going to fight this slope. Now if you're going to fight the slope, we might aim just fractionally to the right of the flag. Now we're talking about 6, 7 feet to the right of the flag, not a lot. But what we have to do now is feel like we're going to hit a little bit of a cut. So when I start hitting a cut, I've got to keep that club face a little bit more open. And as I keep that club face a little bit more open, what I'm also probably going to do is I'm going to lose a little bit of distance. When I aim, I'm making sure that I'm not aiming as far to the right as I did in this prior shot. All right, so I'm going to take this just a little bit to the right of that flag. Same setup position, same ball position, same everything that I'm doing. But this time when I come through, I'm keeping that club face a little bit more open. Launch angle on that was about 23. This may go up just a little bit more. And in fact, what I did was I overdid it. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of fighting slopes. Because what you can see here, go ahead and show that shot, Greg. What you can see here is that when I hit that shot, I tried to hit a cut off of that. I actually created the cut, and when that cut, it missed the green and went into the bunker. All right? So, I'm not a fan of fighting slopes. This is what I said to you in the very beginning. What I like to do is I like to know for certain that the ball is going to do something. And when we make these alterations, what I know is that this ball is going to turn to the left. So let me put this all in a nice, neat little package for you here. First, we're going to make sure that we aim off to the right of the flag. I'm going to go about 20 feet. Start with that. Now, I'm going to set the ball position back a little bit, and then set those shoulders and feel like that trail foot is kind of kinking in, or my trail leg is leaning up the hill. That's going to brace me on this shot and allow me to make a solid contact and a good strike. And now I have my shot the way I want to hit it. Now watch this. This is going to be the one that this is our keeper. So Greg, if you could replay that shot for us and watch this. Starts out to the right, about 15, 20 feet to the right. Now it twists back to the flag. And right down on the line, I probably have about a 10 or 15 foot putt. So what you need to understand is when you're playing that 18th hole, you're coming into the clubhouse. You're going to pretty much deal with an uphill lie every single time. And when you start to do that, you need to make these alterations so that you have the confidence to know that you can finish the round. And that uphill lie is no longer going to be a problem. You make these changes of what you're doing in your address position, what you're doing with your ball position, and what you're doing with your aim. And when you make those three changes, what you're going to find is you're going to hit very consistent shots. And that 18th hole now all of a sudden is going to be something you want to play instead of something that you dread playing. And that's a grip tip presented by Golf Pride. Time for Proving It, presented by Titleist. And the yellow ball is here. Now, I want to talk to you about reading greens and understanding your stroke for this particular putt that you have. Because believe it or not all putts are the same break for every individual putting stroke. In other words, if I stand over this putt here, which is about a 10-foot putt, it's about 2 inches outside the right. Now, I have a pretty conventional putting stroke. Putter doesn't really move that much as far as arc is concerned. Face doesn't really alter that much. So when I hit this putt, that ball's going to break maybe, I don't know, an inch or so. Now, this is where things get really, really interesting. If I'm a person that tends to cut my putts, so in a down the line shot here, Gibbsy, if I take the putter and I go outside and then cut across it, I'm going to create a spin that's going to have an axis of rotation that's perpendicular to the ground initially, and this putt's going to break a lot more. So watch this. So I come across that. Look at how much that putt broke. The opposite is true also. If I happen to have a putting stroke that's more of a hook putting stroke, in other words, my path is going out to the right and my club face is a little bit shut, to that as it starts to go, this putt won't break as much. So you can see those two putts, even though they missed, that one putt that's yellow is to the right of the white putt, ball because I put a different spin on it. And that affects what happens. Now, why is that important? If you find that your putts are breaking a lot to the left, or somebody says to you, hey, this putt is a left to right putt, you need to aim, say, 2 inches out on the left, and you hit it 2 inches out on the left, and all of a sudden it doesn't break that much. It's telling you that you're cutting your putts. So when you stand up here and you have a cut putt, like this, where we start it way out, you're one of those people that's going to have to play more break because cut putting strokes create hook spins or more right to left for the right-handed player. So I'm going to aim this way out there, cut it, put that hook spin on it. Now watch that thing move all the way. You see how it moved all the way across? I know it seems like that's not possible. It is possible. And it's possible because of what you're doing in your putting stroke. Now, as you start to do that, what you then need to understand is the most important part of the stroke, in my opinion, other than getting the face square to where you intend to hit the ball, is making sure that the path of the putter is going towards wherever it is that you're trying to start the ball. All right, so if I want to start this putt 3 inches outside to the right, I want to make sure that I have a square face in the backswing and then make sure that that putter is traveling down the line. And when that putter travels down the line to where I want it to go, the ball's going to go into the hole. What do we take away from this? Well, here's what we take away. So many of you are focusing on what's going on with your backswing path. You don't have to worry about what's going on with your backswing path. You have to worry about what's going on with your backswing face. And when that face gets opened up and you cut across it, now that cutting across creates a spin that will then create a hook putt, believe it or not. And the opposite is true too. When you take that putter back and you start to get the face a little close and you start to path way out to the right, you're going to hit a putt that's going to have a little bit more of a cut motion. It will take some of that left to right out. Right to left out, and it will create a straighter putt on hook putts. Not every individual, when you stand over a putt, has the exact same read. And you have to appreciate that your putting stroke is going to produce a spin that is going to affect what happens with the putt. Now, what does that mean to you when you go to play in those tournaments where you're playing sort of a scramble format and you're looking at your partner and they're going 2 balls out here, we're going to aim this just outside of the hole, and you hit that putt and their putt breaks more? Pay attention to their stroke, because their stroke can be putting a spin on the ball that's going to be different in the break than what you might play because your strokes are so different. And that's proving it, presented by Titleist. Time for a FootJoy Fix. Major championships create major moments. And these major moments, typically when we come to a putt, they typically are in this 4 to 5 foot range. Now, let's just take a straight 4 to 5 foot putt. What goes through our mind when we have this putt? Well, one of the things that happens to you is you start focusing on your stroke. You start paying attention to making sure that the putter path is doing what you want it to do, and you're coming through and the putter path is doing what you want it to do, and you get in here like this, and now you just start, you almost watch the putter head go back, and you watch the putter head go through, and then when it goes in, you have this big, huge sigh of relief. That's the problem. It's not about the path of the putter. It's about the face of the putter. Let me show you what I'm talking about. When I put this in, if I take the putter head and I twist it closed like this, it's now pointing to the left of the hole. I can have the greatest path that I want where it's going down towards the hole like this. But if that face is closed, that ball is going to move to the left of the hole, and we're going to miss it. You have to make sure when you're hitting these short putts, speed's not that important. You just need to get enough pace so that the ball gets to the hole. It could go 2 feet by, 3 feet by, 6 inches by. It doesn't matter as long as it's on the line that we want. What you have to focus on is not the path, not the distance back and through, but controlling the face. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to take my putting strip here, and I'm going to set just a straight putt. So I'm going to get it in line with that hole right there. Pull it like that, and now I'm going to bring a ball in and put it right there. Now, when I set this putter head down, what you can see in the overhead shot is that putter face is square to the lines on the putter path. On the putting strip. When I take this back and I go like this, as long as that face is square to that all the way through and going in that fashion there, the ball's going to go in. It doesn't matter if I take the putter out here like this. If the face is square when it comes back into the strike, it's going to go into the hole. So watch. If I take this putter a little outside, come back through a little across, and I hit it with the face in the position that I want, it'll go into the hole. So now watch. I'm going to do this on the green itself, same exact thing. I'm going to go out, across, cut it, and it can go in. If I take the putter strip again, line it to that hole, just like that, put the ball in. Now I'm going to make a really good putting stroke where it goes down the line like this and down the line like that, but my club face is going to be shut. Watch how it leaves the strip. So here we go. You see it jump right off the strip dead left? That tells you the importance of the club face. We've got to make sure that the club face is square. So when we start thinking about the club face, I want you to think about the palm of your trail hand. I want the palm of the trail hand to stay dead square in that impact position. It's just going to meet that just like that. You're giving a high five or a low five to somebody, so we're coming through, and then the palm is right there. Ball goes in. Control the palm, you control the face. Do it again. Right here. Trail hand, palm. Now it just moves through. Square, right into the hole. Speed's not important. But when we start to add some break, speed becomes essential. So Greg, if you could, just give me a little bit of break here. Yeah, a little more. Excellent. Excellent. Good. That's perfect. All right, now, watch this putt. So I'm going to hit this putt here. I'm going to hit it straight, and we're going to see how much break we get. So you can see that breaks about 1.5 cups. So what that means is that when I hit this putt, and that was speed that's going to go maybe 2 feet by, now I've got 1.5 cups. So now when I have 1.5 cups, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to aim, let's just say 1.5 balls outside the hole, and now I'm going to hit this, and I hit it out there, she goes into the hole. So excellent. Now, this is where speed is essential, because speed now is going to tell me how much break I'm going to play. In other words, if I hit this firmer, and you might do that, let's say if you're playing in a match play event, and your opponent has already made a score. Let's say your opponent's made a 4, and you now have this putt for a 4. And if it misses, it doesn't matter how far it goes by. You might play this a little bit firmer. When you play that a little bit firmer, now all of a sudden we're going to hit a putt that's going to have a little less break. What does that mean when you do that? That means you're shrinking the hole. I do not advise putting this way, but there are players that do, and they do it successfully. When you do this, now you have to take break out, but you have to put speed in. So now I hit it a little bit firmer. That ball goes into the hole. It didn't break as much, but it went into the hole. If I start hitting a putt where I'm in a stroke play event, now if this ball misses, I've got to hit that putt back into the hole. So now I'm focusing on my pace. So now I might hit a putt that might have even a softer pace. It might have a little bit more break and just grab the top edge of the cup. So what you have to understand is when you get into putts that have a lot of break to it, now you got to start paying attention to the speed of the putt. The face is also extremely important when we hit this, but you now have to monitor how hard am I going to hit this ball? What's going on with the speed that I'm hitting it? And now what we do with the strip is we start paying attention to how far back and how far through we move the putter face, not the putter head, the putter face. So when I get in here like this, let's say I want to have this just dying into the hole, I might bring this back 1, 2, 3 inches from that ball. So I would go back like this, stop there, and then I'm going to go through 3 inches. So that's one option, smaller stroke. So if I make a little bit of a smaller stroke on this, and I'm going to move out and hit this with one hand so you can see the overhead shot here. So I'm going to go 3, 3. So I make a smaller stroke. Look at how much break I add to that. The other option I have is I can slow tempo down. Now, how do we slow tempo down? Well, that's all in our grip pressure. So if I start to take really, really light grip pressure all the way through, I now will have a stroke that might be a little bit longer, but I'm taking speed out of the putter head. So there's a couple of ways to take speed out of the putter head. One is the length that you're making the stroke go, and when I say stroke, I'm talking about face, the length that the face is moving, and one is the speed that this the face is moving at. And by lightening my grip pressure, now again, I'm starting to take speed out of that putter head. So now I go like this, lighten the grip pressure. And you can see that putt also had a lot of break. So now I'm going to take the putting strip back like this. And this is where you've got to practice. Do you feel comfortable feeling like you're making a smaller stroke, or do you feel comfortable making a slower stroke? I'm the kind of person, I like making slower strokes. So I just lighten up my grip pressure. And now I make that stroke, and now that takes the break that I want and goes into the hole. So when we start playing in these major championships for us, maybe it's a club championship, maybe it's the first time that you're playing with somebody that you haven't played with, and there might be a famous person. That's a major experience for you. Maybe it's a member guest or a member, something like that. There's all kinds of major championships. And by the way, one other major experience for you is maybe playing one of those golf courses that you've looked up to and you've always wanted to play and you haven't had a chance to do it, and now all of a sudden you have this one moment in time. This is a major experience. And when you go to these places, you're going to end up having these shorter putts. Some are going to be straight, some are going to have break. I need you to be thinking about this. Control the face when you have these shorter putts, and you're going to putt great. And when you have short breaking putts, make sure that you're figuring out, am I making a shorter stroke or am I making a little bit of a slower stroke? That's an individual thing that you have to discover for yourself. But when you do, what you're going to find, you're going to be much more successful. And that is our FootJoy Fix.